Hey there, I'm your host Zoe, and this is part 11 of the inventory series. In the last episode, we did the take from inventory function, and in today's video, we'll do the store function. So with that said, let's begin. Let's start by going into our contents drawer and let's open our inventory component. In here, we want to create a new function called check container inventory. Now in here, we need two variables. First one will have the destination inventory. And the second one will do a player slot. And this will be of type item slot. And this one will do a BPC underscore inventory object reference. Now from this, we want to get our slots and we want to do a for each loop. For each loop. And we are going to compare this with everything in here. Is there anything matching? So let's get the two item IDs equal and plug that in there. Now we also want to see is the item quantity less than the max stack size. So let's get that, plug it into here, and we'll do item quantity less than the max stack size. And then let's get a and boolean, connected it in there, and finally a branch. And we want to return the success, the index. So let's do a return. So we want the success variable. We also want the index. And we also want the container item. And this will be an item slot. And we get this from here. So let's do a reroute node and plug it in there. And this will return successful. It'll return the index and the container item. If this was completed and it did not find anything, well, then this will be false. This will be a -1 value to indicate a null value, and the container item will be empty. Let's also change the return value name to success. And this is a pure variable. So select it, hit pure, compile and save, and let's head back into our event graph. Next, let's create our store to inventory function. Inside here, we want to know the store quantity. We want to know the index. And we also want to know the destination inventory. Now for the index and the store quantity, these are both integers, so switch them. Now from here, I want to get my item slots and I want to do a get a copy of this index here. And I'm going to promote this to a variable, a local variable. And from here, I'll do local underscore inventory. So it's the local inventory slot. And from then, actually, let's do a sequence at the very start, like we had with all of our other functions. 0 does the code, and on 1 will update and play the sound effects. So for the update, click on this graph, get your update inventory. We want to update both the local and the destination inventory. So get destination inventory, get a copy, plug that in there. Now, before we do this part, let's get our local inventory item, do a break, and we'll do a get row. We'll do 1 into here. Pressing Q, there we are. And I want to put in my data table, do a break row, and on the sound effects, we'll do a second break. And we're interested in the move sound. Let's hide all the unconnected pins that we don't need. And in here, we want the move. So then we'll do play sound at location, and the location, we will get owner, and this is referring to ourselves or the owner of this component. We'll do get actor location. and that should be good. Then at the very end, we'll plug in our update inventory, which will update this local one, and this one will update the destination. So let's continue with our code over here. We have our local inventory. So I want to then use our check container inventory function, which will go into a branch. And for the player slot, we can connect it into here. And the destination inventory we have handy there. So let's copy and paste it like so. Next, let's go ahead and do get store quantity. We want to see, is the store quantity equal to our inventory quantity? So let's get this to a break, and we want the item quantity like so, and hide unconnected pins, bring that a little closer, and we'll have a branch. Now, before I implement this branch, I want to take this array element and promote it to a local variable called local_matching index. This function is very similar to our take function. And we'll do that. Then we want to plug that into here, and this is the condition. So if it is the full stack that we are taking, well, in that case, I'll get my item slots. I'll do set array element true, and this index will be our local index. So get index, there we are. And split this open, leave them blank. So we've cleared the local inventory, and then we want to add it to our, this is not even for some reason. What if I do this? That's better. Next, we are going to get our local inventory. We're going to do a break, and I want the item quantity plus our container quantity here. So let's do a reroute node and also do a break. We're going to add this to our item quantity here, and we'll promote this to a local variable called the local_total quantity. And this will go into here. And we are going to check, is this value greater than the max stack size? So let's get our max stack size, plug it into here. We can also hide this bin. And if it is, or first, if it's not, well, then simply we add them and we don't need to do much about it. So let's get our local inventory. Let's do a break. We're going to get our create new stack on false. The target will be get destination. The item ID will be this item ID. And let's do that. Da-da-da. And we can hide the item quantity. I don't need this here. And for the item quantity down there, we'll get the total quantity. And the index is our local matching index. And just like so, we did the false. And on true, we can copy this part. And we can take this part. On true, we are going to do the same, except the stack is greater than the max stack size. So we are going to fill this with get max stack size. This will go into other item quantity. Now for the index, we also get the matching index. Index in this area stays the same. From here, we'll do a reroute node. We also want to update our total quantity. So let's get it. Let's minus it. So the same scenario again. Let's say we had 10 plus or 9 plus 5. That's 14. So 14 minus 10 leaves us 4. So we need to let our inventory know this should be worth 4 points or 4 integers. However you want to go about that. Let's do that. And since this is now updated, we can check again with our check container inventory function. So let's get this. Let's get the branch. And let's get the matching index. We want to update it. So this will go here. Now the player slot is this player slot over here. If I can aim, put that in there. And then we're updating it. Okay. And let's grab our get destination inventory. I want to get slots. And what I want to do is I want to get a copy of this index there. And I'm going to add, if I do a break, I'm going to add our, I don't even need a break, I can just split it. I'll add our store quantity, or the local total quantity. We'll get that. And from here, I'm going to promote this to the total quantity. And then we do the same. We want to see, is this value greater than the max stack size? So let's get that. Plug it in there. And let's do a branch. So if it's not greater, we do the same like we did previously. So let's copy this, plug it on false. And let's just double check everything. So destination inventory, that's correct. This should go in here, item ID, total quantity, and local matching index. Now, if it is true, we again do something similar like here. So I'll copy this code. And untrue, this is good. We get the item ID, we're storing it as the max stack size, and then we're updating our local total quantity. So that's looking good. And then we want to loop it back again into check container to see, is there anything else to match? So let's do that. Second pin over here. If we select both, we can even them out. I'll drag this about there. Looks good to me. And we'll make this look pretty as well. That's looking nice. So that's this part. And let's say it's false. So if we do get a false, then we are going to do a branch. And we'll see, are there any slots available? So let's get this function, plug it into the success. And we'll do create new stack. On true. Once again, we need our destination inventory to go into here. And the item ID, we can steal from here. And the item quantity that we are taking is the local total quantity. And the index will be our available index that we have here. Okay, so next, let's head over to what if we're not taking the full stack. So we'll do a branch, false, or just connected. And even before I do this branch, I want to get my update stack. And let's control drag into here. And to update this, the index will be our local index. And then for the item quantity, I want this to be the store quantity. So let's get that. And that's good. Next, we want to see, is our store quantity equal to 1? So let's do that and connect this as the condition. And then we will do the add to stack function. And we want this once again to be the destination inventory that's implementing this. So untrue. And the index will be our local matching index. We're still in the matching area. And the total quantity will be simply 1 because we're equal to 1. On false of this, we're going to see if the store quantity is not equal to 1. So simply, we'll get our destination inventory, get slots. We'll do a break, not a break, but a get a copy. And we want the local matching index, Q, to even this out. And I want to do split once again, and I want to add my store quantity. We have it handy over here. Connect that like so. And then we also want to promote it. This is where our false will go into. And we're going to check, is this greater than max stack size? Connect that there, plug this into here. And then this branch will have a true and a false. And let's do the false one first. So on false, we're going to add to stack. And we're going to add, let's make sure this implements this function, the destination inventory, not the local one. And we want to connect our matching index, and we want to connect our store quantity. So let's get this and plug it into here. And if I select everything, press Q, it'll even out. Now on true, we are going to create a new stack, or not this, create new stack. And if it is greater, well, then we're doing something similar like we did over here. So might as well just copy this function, paste it in, and connect that in here. So the item ID is our local inventory item ID. Store quantity is the max stack size because it's greater. And then we're going to minus the local total quantity from the max stack size. And we're running this on the destination inventory. So this gets updated. Everything is looking good. Next, we can go ahead and copy all of this area because we need to check and do the same code pretty much like we did above. So let's connect that in there. And to me, this looks good. So let's just run over this really quick. We're getting the check container quantity branch, promoting the local or the index to the local matching index. We're adding the destination to the local quantity. Max stack size, we're checking this as greater. If it's not, we are setting this up like that. And if it is true, we're setting it up like this with the local item ID, matching index, local total quantity, and then looping it around. Okay, and if we have no space, we're going to check, do we have any space available? And if we don't, this is what we're going to get. Okay, so that's looking good. Next, let's go ahead and deal with what if none of this matches? Well, then we're going to simply go into our, are there any slots available? So let's drag that into here. So let's go ahead and get our any slots available, plug that into here, and promote this to a local variable called local underscore available index. Spell that right? I think I did. Okay, so connect that there and figure out this, make it look a little better. And we want a branch. And the condition we're going to check for is the store quantity. So get store quantity. Is this equal to our local inventory quantity? So not to get, but a break. Break. There we go. And plug that into there. Let's hide the pin for the item ID. Don't need that. And plug that into the condition. Next on false, what we can do is, or let's do the true first rather. And some more space, that's fine. So on true, if it is, well then we're going to wipe the local inventory. So let's get our item slots and do get or set array element. And we're gonna get this local index, so get index. And this item ID is going to be empty. We won't have anything in there, so split it. And then we wanna do create new stack. So I'll get this guy and do create new stack like so. And the item ID will be from our local inventory. Split that open, connect the item ID here, the local total quantity in here, and the available index into our index. So let's get that. And that's all good. Now we're going to take the false. So if it is false, we are going to update the stack first anyway. And the index here will be our local index. So I have it handy here. And the item quantity will be our store quantity. So I have it also handy here. Next, we are going to see is the store quantity equal to 1. Oops, just equals. And we're going to do a branch. And bring this back a little bit. So let's do false first. If it is false, we're going to get our destination inventory. And we want to create stack. And we want to get our item ID. So we can copy this. And we just want the ID. The item quantity that we're going to set in there is going to be our store quantity. And the index is going to be our local available index. And then let's just press Q to even it out. On true, well, we're going to do the same. Get that. We're going to create this new stack from our destination inventory. Look this as the item ID. But because it is equal to 1, our quantity is going to be 1, and our index is going to be our local available index. And then I believe this is all. So let's compile and save. Next, let's head over to our item slider. So UI and item slider. And we want to implement this function on the drop button. So from false, I am going to do a branch. And I want to get this as the condition. And this will be checking, is this the inventory? Is the inventory component equal to our inventory? Now, that's the condition. And then if it is true, we are going to get this again. And we can do store to inventory, like so. And the store quantity will be our item quantity. The index will be our index. And the destination inventory will be coming from this guy over here. So let's do a second reroute. Reroute node there. Reroute node here. And let's connect that. And that's looking good. We can even bring it down a little bit. So yeah, that's perfect. And on false, since we have this handy there, that's good. We are going to also get this, but this will be our hotbar in this case. And let's get this on false. This goes in here, and the destination inventory is that. Oops. Okay. And at the very end, we want to remove from parent, like we did there, or both these. And this is okay. It looks good. Item quantity index, that looks fine. And everything else here looks good as well. Okay, so with that, let's compile and save. And let's see if this works. Let's hit the play button. And if I go ahead, collect a few mushrooms, a few blocks, go inside here, and I want to store 1. What happens? We start the 1. If I want to store last one, wipes it and stores. What if I want to store 2? That's fine. What if I want to store 1 mushroom, 2 and 3? What if I want to store all? Fine. And let's say we have nothing matching and I want to store 3. Perfect. So all of this seems to be working. In the next video, we'll be covering the item filter. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And as always, happy developing.